All right, today on the podcast, we're talking about an open AI-backed startup called Figure. They just released Figure O2, which is a humanoid robot, and it looks pretty cool, pretty futuristic. Seems like the future is finally here. Jaden, what do you think about it?
Okay, so I am a huge fan of Figure. In fact, some people say that Tesla's humanoid robot Optimus has copied some of its kind of form factor from Figure. Figure is a company, it's a robotics company that's been around for a little bit. They're actually backed by OpenAI, who I think gave them around $675 million in its latest round back in February. There's a couple other people in there, but I think like OpenAI was kind of one of the prominent players that put into that most recent round. So they just released, like Jamie mentioned, a new trailer for their latest model, Figure 2, with the date that, on their trailer, it says the date of August 6th. So when we're recording this right now, that is tomorrow. This is something really exciting. Jamie and I wanted to break down some of the future use cases. Essentially, there's a whole bunch of news with humanoid robots this week, so we want to break down all of that. Some of the things we expect, some of the things that we thought were interesting from their teaser trailer here, and most importantly, obviously, these things aren't released yet, publicly available. They're in warehouses actually working right now, which is kind of crazy, and like Tesla warehouses. And I've seen Amazon has some other versions of different companies too. But the reason why we bring this up is because when these things become publicly available, there are going to be, with AI embedded in a humanoid robot, there's going to be so many blue collar and very interesting businesses that are going to get completely unlocked here. Jamie and I, both of our heads have been spinning. We've been talking offline about this. So we want to break down a bunch of those because I think that some of them are really, really interesting. So yeah, I guess Jamie, off the top of your head, like where do you see this going, or what are some businesses, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I have a story. So this past week, I was working out at our Airbnb property, and we are trying to do like a outside exterior cleanup, so that we can get a nice picture before it gets cold and snowy here in Michigan. We want to get a nice picture because it's a lakefront property, and we want to advertise it for next summer, but we don't want to take a winter picture. So I was out there on the beach with a rototiller. The sand was all covered in grass, and I went to go start it, and it, like, I don't know if you'd call it like a backfire or a recoil, but the starting string I pulled shot back and hit my other thumb, and
Oof.
I thought I broke it. It immediately swelled up huge and bruised, and it was just overall a terrible experience.
Oh my gosh.
And so it just got my mind running kind of, down the road. I'm going to have to hire a cleaner for the Airbnb. Plus I'm going to have to, and even with the cleaner, I'm going to have to still spend a lot of time out there doing yard work, essentially. Even if I have a mowing company, I'm still going to have to go out there doing, beach care and stuff like that. So I would love a humanoid robot to take care of a lot of that for me. So that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh my gosh. Like he said, I think that's actually one of the best arguments. I know there's a lot of people that, probably not most people that listen to this podcast, but there are a lot of people that I've talked to that are like, I think these like robots are like horrible. Even AI, they say it's horrible. It's like putting people out of work. It's, taking away their job. Like if we just automated everything with robots and AI, like what would people do? And it would take away their like purpose in life. Okay, so that's kind of like the negative that I hear a lot of people talking about. The positive is literally what you just mentioned. There are so many jobs that people do that are dangerous, and even ones that don't seem dangerous, like maybe pulling a starter cord that could potentially break your thumb. And I know people that have been doing woodworking, and like their fingers are like sliced like right down the middle because they just got their fingers through a saw blade. It's horrible. It's so sad. Like those are all jobs that humanoid robots should be doing. Like we should not be putting people in harm's way, risking life and limb on, the top of like an electrical pole. If a robot could do it, I think a robot should do it. Like, why would we, risk someone's life for it? So, that is, I think, one of the biggest things is like dangerous tasks, a lot of factory work, a lot of warehouse work, a lot of work with machinery. I think this is literally the perfect use case for it. And then, of course, I think that a lot of people are going to use these things inside their house as their own nanny. Now, here's my question. Elon has said that the Optimus robot is probably going to come out at somewhere around $25,000. That's their goal or whatever. Now, who knows if it actually will, because I think the Cybertruck was quoted at a much lower price than it actually came out as. So, I don't know if it's actually going to be able to do that. If precedent is anything to look, to go by, and probably, cost of inflation by then it might go up, whatever. Okay, so, but let's say it was $25,000 for a humanoid robot. I still think not everyone's going to have one of these. That's definitely still a luxury. $25,000, even if it could do all your dishes and your cleaning and your vacuuming and your yard work. I still don't not everyone's got $25,000 to drop on a robot. But what I think everyone would have time for is once a week to go rent one from someone that does have one. And I think that's good business right there, is literally just you don't have to know how to do anything. It's just you're just renting out your robot and it will go work for a day at someone's house. That is 100% going to be a business.
I love that idea. Actually, I'm all about the rentals. So yeah, that's great. I would be curious. I think, I've seen videos of robots since the early 2000s, human looking robots, but they never, I think Honda for a long time was a big, manufacturer, or the big developer, I should say, back in the day. And in my mind, it feels like it's never going to be here. But if you look at even the past, 5 to 7 years with robotics, you got your robot vacuums, robot lawnmowers, all the Amazon factories, pulling packages are robots now. It's a lot closer than people think. So this may seem like a sci-fi type episode to you, but it's just around the corner. And if you have one humanoid robot that can do a lot of different tasks, it kind of eliminates the need for a robot vacuum and a robot lawnmower. For example, you could have your, humanoid one go mow for you and then come in and clean. So it's right around the corner, and it's interesting to think about for sure.
Okay. So okay, a whole bunch of interesting use cases. And actually, I think you have a great point, which is it feels like it's never going to come. So probably a lot of people listening to this are like, blah, blah, blah. Why are they even talking about humanoid robots? This is, futuristic stuff. My thing that really sold me on the fact that these will be here sooner than we think is looking at Boston Dynamics and looking at their, I think, Spock robot or whatever, or Spark maybe. It's more like a dog, but now it can stand on 2 feet and it can do backflips. It can climb up scaffolding. It can grab bag. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so I think that for me was kind of when I saw how versatile that thing was. You can try to whack it over the hockey stick. It doesn't fall over. It can run. It can do a backflip. It's crazy. I'm okay, so robotics obviously have come a long way since I know the Honda one you're talking about, which I remember when I saw it, it was oh, it's so cool. But the thing could hardly move without falling over. It's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
We have come a long way. I think we've gotten the agility, the walking thing figured out. And now it's probably the limbs that they're working a lot with. And the brain of it is, everyone's got these AI models that I think are going to power the brain. So I think that's kind of getting figured out. Now, here's my latest thought of a use case for one of these. We've talked about lawn mowing and house cleaning, but what are your thoughts on using this in a business as a business associate? So I know Walmart does self-checkout or whatever, so they probably don't need a checkout person, but theoretically you could use one of these as a checkout person. You probably look at the salary and it's $25,000 at least that you're paying for a checkout person anyways. Yeah. Or Pizza Hut if these things could actually just learn to put the pizza in the oven and take an order, Pizza Hut could put them in there. And then it got me thinking, I run a podcast studio, which is where I do a lot of the production for all my podcasts out of. I'm traveling right now, so my background is a bedroom door, not quite the fancy podcast studio. But I could imagine a future where I have one of these robots and I train it to essentially be the studio manager. So when someone comes in to record a podcast, instead of me or someone having to sit behind a desk and live edit the podcast the whole time, I bring my Optimus in, that thing sits down, and for $25,000, I have something that literally replaces the salary of a person that I have sitting there live editing every single episode. Actually, that's such a fascinating idea now that I bring it up, because if I had to try to pay a robot, I don't think it's going to have good enough fingers to and learn how to use software. So Premiere to know how to edit. But the way our podcast recording desk setup is, there's a big camera panel where you just push a button and it switches what camera angle depending on who's talking. You just do that. So if a robot was trained to do that, it literally, like, essentially would have the entire episode edited. So I don't even need to get it into any editing software. I could have a robot from start to finish manage an entire session. Man, that'd be insane. That'd be crazy. But I think, like, inside of businesses, these are going to replace the people that are inside of whatever your business that you're listening, or if you are thinking of starting a business, like your restaurant, like, this is going to replace people in there. I am convinced.
Yeah, I mean, anything that's like low to medium skill, like that, even I think the podcast editor would be considered low to medium high skill even. It's a talent or it's a skill someone has to learn, which theoretically could be done. But even, I was at Sam's Club yesterday, and every time you leave, someone has to look at your receipt. They have to scan 3 items in your cart, and then they make a mark or something across your receipt and say, you're good to go, making sure there's no theft. Well, that could easily be replaced by one of these humanoid robots. The person getting the slices of pizza at the counter, that's also something else. And what's cool about the figure O2 is that at least the trailer showed human hand with all the joints, and it moved very naturally and very human-like. So these will definitely be able to, pick up tools and use, be quite dexterous, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as far as the job market too with these.
100%. Okay, and I have one final thing that I think is going to be crazy when it comes to these humanoid robots, and something that you today should be doing to prepare yourself for that inevitable future. I mentioned earlier that these humanoid robots are likely, the brain of them is going to be run by the AI models that a lot of these companies are developing. So you have like Elon Musk's Tesla creating their Optimus robot. The brain for that is probably going to be their Grok AI model. Like, that's going to be like what thinks and computes and does everything. And then no doubt Figure has a heavy investment from OpenAI. Their brain is probably going to be ChatGPT, that's helping it think and process and visual and do all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting because the way that these AI models are getting built today with the multimodal, like, this is 100% what they're building it for, right? Like, OpenAI right now, they have like all these cool features on your on their iPhone app where you can essentially take a picture of something, and they have a feature soon where you're going to actually be able, like, taking a video of something, and it's going to feed it into the model, and it can talk and tell you what's going on. Okay, that is literally just going to get placed straight into a robot's head, and its eyes are going to be cameras, and like,
yeah,
GG, like, that's literally what they're building it for. When they say AGI, I don't think of an all-knowing computer chip. I think of like an actual autonomous robot. That is what I think they're secretly building, or not secretly, but that's where they're going. Okay, so why do I bring this up, and what do you need to know and do about this? You need to make sure that your business, that yourself as a professional, that whatever project you're working on is ranking high on the list, on essentially you're doing SEO for the AI models, so that when someone searches for, hey, like, I'm trying to, come up with like branding for my company, what's some good recommendations, or maybe what are some good branding companies that could help? You want the AI model to recommend your company. How do you do that? It's AI model SEO. We've kind of talked about this in the past. We are dropping exclusive episode on this, on AI model SEO on our school community. So you aren't going to find this anywhere else on the internet. I've talked to some people that have done this very successfully, so it's super fascinating to me. But you're not finding this anywhere else on the internet. If you join our school community today, we lowered the price to $10 a month just for this week. After this, we're bumping it up. It's going to get to $50 and probably $100 a month. If you join it now, you lock in that price. We're never going to raise the price on you. You get that sweetheart deal forever. So go join our school community, and I think you should really listen to the next episode that we drop on this over there. That explains exactly how to rank your business in an AI model. So when all of these AI models are plopped into the heads of these humanoid robots, if I go to the store and ask them a question, I want the robot to recommend my business to people when it tells people what to do or where to go or who to talk to about a topic. So this is what I think everyone should do, and you can find that in our school community, link in the description.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to tell my Figure O2 robot to go get the best pizza in town, I want it to be, my pizza restaurant. So,
oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, you're just like, hey, like, go get me a pizza. And then it's like, where should I go? And you're like, I don't know, where, like, whatever the best pizza place is. And then it's just like scans like Google Gemini, and it's like, oh, Barrows on 7th is the best pizza. It's like, why? Well, because they kind of SEO'd it to be called the best, the best pizza in town. And dude, that'd be hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother level. Just imagine like a lineup of Optimus robots outside of one pizza place because they got themselves to rank number 1, and no one else is like scores are getting the robot orders. That's so crazy. People try to rank on like Uber Eats and like get themselves to show up number 1 to get more orders. This is a whole nother level. This is just straight the robot's gonna do it. All right, get on the school community. Enough talking about this. We're gonna tell you how to do it and how to actually become the pizza owner of your town. All right. Hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. We'll catch you next time. Leave us a review if you appreciated this episode or learned anything new. We'll see you all later.